One of the recent memories of regret that I have is during the pandemic, a former corps member named Sonny would call me maybe once a week, just reaching out to get out of the house to do something. And there would be months at a time where I would lose touch, or that I would kind of get swept up in daily life and would not prioritize that friendship. And it was through hearing another story, through someone else losing a close friend, and me recognizing that there's limited time. You just don't know how long a friend will be present. And so I didn't want to lose any more time. I wanted to reconnect and to be faithful for however much time we had left. But I think it was through feeling some of his pain of, it doesn't feel like anyone is coming to be with me. You're not answering the phone. What are we going to do today? Being able to feel some of that really helped clarify the kind of friend that I do want to be. Seeing some of the ways that I said no to those invitations. And I feel grateful that I have more opportunities with Sonny. But it could have been the case that he died during the pandemic, or that I didn't get another opportunity with him. There's a poet whom I like named David White, who talks about we get so many tides in our life, so many waves, and being able to see the tides that we've missed, or to see the waves that we've missed, helps us realize I don't want to miss the next one. And I think a healthy regret helps us see that another wave will come, and it hurt not to be on the joy of that previous wave. You know, I could have gotten on the surfboard, so to speak, with Sonny for those 3 or 4 years, but I missed it. And there are maybe only 2 or 3 waves left. Sonny is the only person that I know will call me every Saturday, or that I know kind of when each time of the week I'm going to have that touch point. And so there's always the invitation there to hop in the car and go for a drive, or make plans to go to eat, or to go to IHOP. Even at 83 years old, he's so much that he wants to do. It has felt really good to answer more often, and to say yes more often, and to realize that friendship is really important to me, and that I want to say yes to it, that I want to be in it with him.
I didn't really make friends through schools. I wasn't a popular kid, and no one was an outcast in high school except I was. In 9th grade through senior year was like, I didn't have friends. And I tried to make friends, but this is typical for all disabilities. They can like stare at you, walk up and down, like, oh, that's someone who's a freak. I was lonely for a while. Until I joined drama club. Which I started in 9th grade. And I was an extra in Sherlock Holmes. So it was like pretty fun. I did find a club of different people. In the end of high school, my friend Karen Bridge from high school mentioned me in her speech, in her graduation speech, which was pretty cool. And I actually stood up. It was pretty cool. It changed my perspective after high school. I don't like talking about the transition from high school to college. But the graduation did change in the speech. And people knew who it was. In school, people said, I can't do this. I can't, I'm not able, don't do that. Like, you can't sing, you can dance, which I can. They just assume that you can't do it. You're not able to do it. Was frustrating. But the most one was, you can't go to college. And I proved them wrong. I went to college. I graduated from college.
Another conversation that happened in one of my psychology courses, they were talking about this man who lived in San Francisco, and he left his house one day. He started walking to the Golden Gate Bridge, and when he got there, he jumped. And before he left his house, he wrote a letter, and the letter said, if one person says hi to me or stops to talk to me, I won't. The implications of that is something I've kind of like carried with me for a while. It's not okay for people to feel like they don't matter and like their presence doesn't matter, you know? Connection, I think, is one of the best ways to combat that feeling. Feeling connected to someone, even if it's, you know, you're hopping online on PlayStation, you know, talking to your friends for a couple hours, sending a letter, a text message, having a book club, whatever it is. And it's scary that so many people could live in a city and don't talk to each other. Like, I grew up in New England, right? The warmth that you feel when you travel down south versus here in New England is not just about the weather, right? You can walk down the street and pass 1,000 people on your way to like a coffee shop and not talk to any of them, you know? And so many friendships can just start by like, hey, how are you? Or I like your shoes, you know?
Me, my mom, and my grandma, we used to have like a very strong relationship, and it was the three of us all the time. My grandma, her house was beside of my house, so that's why like we're very close. And I was like, when I born, my mom needs to work, so I used to stay with my grandma, and then we just built this beautiful relationship and strong. I came here because of my grandma. I needed like a time to refresh my mind. So my grandma passed away with 84. I just remember like how Charles welcomed me, and he is the one that I didn't feel alone. Like, even we had to talk about like coming from a new country, not having friends right away. But the welcoming was so deep and so intense that I didn't have time to feel alone. I'm a nurse, and then I used to work on the operating room. And when I came, he was like waiting to have, I think it was his desire to have a nurse, because mostly like what I hear is like all the assistants come being with him, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna leave because I want to study for nurse or medical school. And Charles used to say, okay, come back to be my nurse, come back to be my doctor, and nobody come, right? Like, they go and they don't come back. And then I came and I had this experience, and I was with him until the last day when he closed his eyes. So I was there, and so that welcoming, like he got me as, and he valued my work so much that I never had, like in the entire time, like I'm more than 15 years I'm nurse. He valued in 1-2 months that I was with him, he valued what not people have valued like in the 15 years that I have been working as a nurse. So he valued that in a short period of time. So that was the welcoming I had from him, and he wanted me as his nurse, and I was there for him until the last. So that was very, very intense and very welcoming. And then, no time to feel alone, and just feeling that I was there for him and he was there for me. And I kind of revived with the Charles what I lived with my grandma, right? Because they were very similar. But I felt like, okay, that was my call. I have to be here, and I have to be for Charles.
Charles was like, one time was like bedridden, you know. And then I was like trying to help him, like to move him from bed, stuff and that. Then I was like just try like to tease him, say, Charles, why can't you just stand and walk? You go here. Then he was like, I know I can't walk. Maybe if you can help me. Then he said, you want me to help you as a walking stick? Then I told him, like, I don't have a stick to give you. Then he said, you can be my walking stick. So I just picture myself into a stick. Yeah, there's like a lot, like back home, people with disability, they don't consider them like full human being. So it's something that maybe I can share with my people back home. They are human beings, and their intelligence is just the same like us. And let's not focus on their disability. Let's try to focus on their ability, you know, because me, I've learned like a lot. Francine, most of the time when I'm driving to Francine, me, I use GPS. Francine, she uses her brain. Wherever we go, Francine, which turn do we take? Here. Which turn, you know? So there's like a lot that I've learned, you know, just being seeing their disabilities.
You're one of my longest, one of my longest friends. We've known each other for almost 12 years now. She's been a faithful friend through many seasons of my life. So when I met Patrick, you kind of were like the litmus test of like, is Hazel going to like Patrick?
No.
Because if she doesn't, I don't know if we can keep dating, right? And then Patrick showed up with a 6-pack, right?
Right.
And a puzzle.
Brother.
And you liked him.
Yeah.
And then you were in our wedding.
Yeah.
Came to Pennsylvania for our wedding. You looked so beautiful in your bridesmaid's dress and had a fun party.
Yeah.
Except Lauren lost the keys. Lauren lost the keys to the red car. But we found them.
I was so frantic. You were very calm. Lulu was helping. And where were they? We called Luke to come back to get us. Where were they the whole time?
The car.
In the side pocket of the Trader Joe's bag in the car.
The car, yeah. The car, yeah.
My graduation was on Zoom because obviously the pandemic was still going on, and I hadn't seen my family in person since that spring break. So it was May, and I saw them like distantly through the window since they live nearby, but I couldn't see them in person. So at the school that morning, there had been like a 2-hour Zoom call where they scrolled through the names on a PowerPoint sort of and like gave some speeches. There was a point in the Zoom ceremony in which they were like, stand up when your name scrolls along the screen. So I did watch that morning at Highland House and saw my name scroll along the screen, but it really was pretty anticlimactic. And so Lauren and my housemates, Fritz, Hazel, Eric, and Kelly, they collaborated together to kind of create a Highland House Notre Dame hybrid graduation, which included that I borrowed another assistant, Sophia's old graduation robes. Lauren made a big cardboard golden dome to mimic the dome at Notre Dame. I popped a champagne bottle on the steps of Highland House, as is tradition at Notre Dame. And then there was a Zoom ceremony in which I got to speak a little bit. And then Fritz, long-term L'Arche core member, housemate, and friend of mine, handed me my diploma with my parents watching on Zoom. And it was great. It was it's a highlight of my life, probably, is that graduation, because it was exactly the way I would have wanted it.
In the 4th grade, I had just moved to Fairfax. I was sitting at a table eating my lunch, and this guy walked up to me. His name is Jonathan. He just moved away, but he was like the tallest guy, the biggest guy, the funniest guy everybody had said in 4th grade. He had also just moved there. So it was good to know that, hey, this guy's also looking for a new friend. So he sat down with me and he said, hi, my name's Jonathan. I said, hi, my name's Patrick. And we just talked until lunch ran out. And then we went to recess and we just kept talking and talking and talking. But the first thing that I asked, because he was allergic to peanuts and I had a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and he said, are you allergic to peanuts if you smell it? And he was like, no, I'm fine. So that is just a very vivid memory, because like me and him are still friends. We still talk to each other even though he's moved away. So I feel like that was the first big bond that I've ever made with that like I can ever recall making with somebody other than my brother.
I think our friendship is also pretty new, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Because even though we met when you moved in,
Oh, yeah.
then there was COVID.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't really get a chance to know each other in a way that we would have until I became home life leader. And then we got to hang out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're still getting to know each other.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're also hitting that point in our friendship that's the trust is growing in a way that we know when to push and pull. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
I also love hanging out with you. You're the easiest person to hang out with.
Yeah.
Love your choice in music.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a way of like creating an environment around you that's really just really relaxed.
I
I love going on rides to Rock Creek Park.
Yeah.
We usually have the windows down, some music
Yeah.
playing.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's just the two of us. Sometimes there are other people.
Yeah.
Hop in the van.
Oh.
And there's a specific spot that we go to. Picnic area 18. Joseph and I are going to go on a trip
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the month. Do you want to tell them about that?
Oh, man.
We're going to Florida.
Yeah.
First time for Joseph in a plane.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely significant for many reasons. One of which is, Joseph, how do you feel about heights?
I'll tell you how.
Yeah, not good. The fact that you are trusting me to go on this trip with you and making this risk together
Yeah.
means the world to me. I think it's so special that you're saying yes to it, even though you know it's kind of scary. Or I'm saying kind of. You would probably say very.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh. There's a really embarrassing story. Should I tell you that one? Sure. There maybe another way you know your friends. So, yeah, when we couldn't get picked up from school because we were both kind of like passenger princesses, like then we'd had to take the bus home. But it was such a long bus ride because of this Route 7 traffic thing. I had to pee from like period 1 like of the day. And this was during middle school and you had to like sign out on your agenda to go to the freaking bathroom. I had to pee so bad. And then the bus ride takes forever. Finally pull up to our stop.
Karis knows that I have to pee really bad. We're walking home. I'm like kind of waddling at this point. We stop at the bottom of my hill. I can see my house. We stop there. We're at the stop sign. I have my keys out, ready to unlock my door to get in my house. And Karis starts telling me this story. She knows I have to pee, okay? She's like, oh, well, let me tell you what Nas did today. Like, Nas said this, and she's so cool, and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm sitting there scratching with my keys on this stop sign, little markings, because at this point, I'm crossing my legs, like, I'm trying to listen to Karis because I'm invested in the story and I don't want to be rude to my friend. But also, she's being a butt right now. Yeah, she purposely told me a funny story. I'm laughing. I start peeing my pants. I'm waddling up the hill and she's laughing her ass off at the bottom of the hill. I guess I was just laughing so hard, just watching me go home. Just pure delight at her evilness in that situation. But like, to me, that's how you know, like, this is true to the end, right? Like, that's just, she's still like ride or die. She's actually pregnant now too. She's having a little girl and she and I are only like 2 months apart or so. And so are they. And she's moving back to like our childhood neighborhood. So, gotta get them together.
And this is speaking as a coda, because my mother's deaf. She's the only one deaf in our family, right? And apart from me and my brother, we're the only two that sign. No one else in our family signs, unfortunately. And it's a very popular topic. A lot of deaf people grew up where their families were like, when this is the sign for like shun almost, they were just like, that's the deaf person in our family, like, you know what I mean? Or speak up louder. She can't, or she has to look at you and read your lips. Like, it's like, oh, we have to do so much for that deaf person. You know what I mean? Or closed captioning, why? It ruins the show. And it really doesn't. When you talk about deaf culture, and I'm coda, family, growing up, all of that, it's a very complex conversation because there's so many views. And when you see it from different views, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. But I don't agree with that. So like the kids that I've met before, they're young. They're very young. They're teenagers that I've met before. They're like, I don't like when I have to sign to my mom. And I'm like, why? Why, bro? You're so weird. Like, why? Not judging. I understand from their point of view, but it's like, it's a wonderful thing to accept. But there are some parents that are like, I don't want to force signing on my children. They're not going to be my interpreter. The burden of putting that on my child, they're going to feel resentment towards me because I'm forcing them to be my interpreter. Or I'm saying, can you sign for me? I don't understand what they're saying at the store or the doctor's appointment, or the doctor didn't provide an interpreter, but I need this appointment. Take my kid from school and put them to interpret for me. So there's a lot of conflicted things. There are some kids that don't want to sign anymore when they get older because of that reason. They were used so much, but not because the parents wanted to. It was because technically the ADA law isn't working how it should have been. You know what I mean? Like, it's just situations that they've been placed in that's not working. And it passed along like the 90s, but we're still stuck in the 90s. You know what I mean? So, very difficult for the deaf culture still, bro. Still. Like, I'm talking about simple things like doctor's appointments or even a job interview for the deaf. You can request an interpreter for your appointment paid through the insurance, but if you need a job, you got to pay out of pocket for that. You want an interpreter for your interview? You got to pay out of pocket or get your kid. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, as a kid, you're like, I don't know that big word, but I don't want to make her embarrassed. I don't want to embarrass her. You know what I mean? I've been put in that situation. Like, I'm going to interpret for my mom for her appointment, But am I going to be silly asking the doctor, what does that big word mean? So I can change it so I can understand to translate it for her. It's overwhelming sometimes. The doctor's just saying words and I'm like, which is almost like that stuck feeling that's what it means. Like it's just going past you. That's the sign for it. Well, the expression sign. And it's like, excuse me, that word, what does that mean? And sometimes the doctor will be like, oh, okay, I understand. You're her daughter. This is for heart surgery. You know what I mean? Explain to her, we're going to open up her heart and have surgery. Okay, we're going to cut these, and I'm explaining it. Some of them will do that. Some of them are like, you should have got an interpreter. A skilled professional interpreter. You shouldn't have brought your daughter. You know what I mean? So, and then she's like, but I need the heart surgery. And it takes 2 weeks to reserve an interpreter. And it costs a pretty penny for an interpreter. They're not cheap. So like my mom, for example, when she does go to social events, she'll take somebody. If it's me or my brother, because she wanted to be social. That's what she wanted. But she knew it came at a price. And there's some parents that do not want to use their children. So they will suffer at their own cost. And we're talking about loneliness at a higher degree because you're just like, you're okay. You tell yourself you're okay if you go to a family function and no one talks to you. And I've actually witnessed that firsthand. And that is almost really, really sad. Yeah. Even at my family gatherings, my mom will say, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to sign. But deep down, I knew she wished. You know what I mean? And it's a double-edged sword because for a coda, you're seeing both sides of it. You're seeing like, from my point of view as a child or a kid or a teenager, but you're also seeing the deaf person if that's your parent. So you see all of it. So honestly, and I'll tell you, my mom used to resent me sometimes because I can hear when I would get jobs and I got them on the spot. She was like, oh, it's so easy for you because you're hearing. Of course they're going to hire you. So it's like, I can't get praise because it's like a bittersweet. It's like, I've learned to live with that. You know what I mean? So like, but I would tell my mom, like, it's okay for you. You're going to get a job that you want. But some of them are just put into this box where they can't excel in life because the right opportunities aren't right for them. And it sucks. Make up a sign for friendship. Make up a sign for friendship. What would that look? What would that look like? Friendship is this, which is already really cool. But I think this is like chains. I'm trying to think of some signs that are kind of binding together. This is the sign for chains, but I feel like friendship it's already enough right there. It's so nice. And it's almost close to like when we do this, like the pinky promise. So I feel like this is like a really, really old traditional sign. And I feel like this is OG. That's like perfect right there. Loneliness is also the sign for single, but also loneliness. Yeah. It's like one singular person. So like loneliness.
Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mr. Andrew Camiso, and I didn't know any sign language when I started here, and actually that was like the elephant in the room for me. I was like, oh my God, I got to talk with my hands. I'm good with talking with my mouth. I don't know about my hands and signing. And I was like, oh, and then I was able to do it. And then it just opened up a whole nother world for me. And so I was able to make friends just signing. And then with him, he likes to greet and bring people together. So I could be pushing him in his wheelchair and we're going down the street. And then he's just going to put his hand out and shake somebody's hand and then grab their hand of mine and have me meet someone who I never met a day in my life and, connect us. And so he was just a big connector. And I think that was just the greatest for someone who was nonverbal, who couldn't talk, spoke to the world in so many different ways and gave communications that I didn't even know would exist and brought things out of me that I didn't even know I had. I felt like I knew the guy forever and I never knew him. And then we just connected instantaneously. And then it just was inseparable. He was a star in his own right. You know, I'm walking down the street with him and people are knowing me because I know him. So even just that in itself helped me to know other people and get other friends just because I'm associated with him. I tell you, everywhere we went, people just loved him, and he loved, it didn't matter who they were. He loved everybody too. You know, it was a scary time in the pandemic. We're like, oh my God, like this guy's gonna be shaking people's hands and we don't want to touch nobody. And I was just like, oh my God. But we got through it. Boy, like I said, I got lasting memories I'll never ever forget. I mean, yeah, he just had a special otherworldly power that just brought people together. And yeah, and I'm definitely better for it to be a part of his world, and definitely happy for that. Needless to say, when he passed away, I was in shambles. But and I was thinking about leaving L'Arche actually, because I didn't know if this was gonna be the place for me, because he died, so I thought that kind of part of L'Arche and me kind of was dying too. But I'm also not a quitter, so I'm just like, there's more life to be had, and he wouldn't want me to do this either. So it's like, you got to keep connecting, keep doing what you do. And actually, that when I thought about it, it's just been disrespectful to do that. Like, you don't just get up and leave now because he's gone. Like, that's just, and the mission is more than Andrew. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I was like, hey, not that there'll ever never be another Andrew, but the next Andrew, whomever that might be, I'm open, ready to receive it and ready to give him or her whichever the best of me that I can do. So, damn it, that was it for me. And it's still, I'll never forget it. My heart still goes like this. I'll never forget him. I remember his birthday, and, you know, God rest his soul. His life lives on. And Andrew.
I think about Bruce and I sat on the porch at 6th Street over the course of a number of summers, and there's this guy walking along, and he has this tiny baby in his pushchair. And Bruce and I wave and say, hi, and carry on. And the next year, Bruce and I also sat on the porch, and this guy comes along, and now the baby is a toddler, and he's walking with the toddler. It's like, hi. In the third year, the guy walks along, and the toddler is a bigger toddler. He's like, hi, and we all recognize that, like, we've encountered one another systematically now. Like, we know that there's a hi. We know that we're going to talk about you when you leave. We're going to comment, oh, they're cool. That's beautiful. Like, you're going to be like, those guys are outside again. And he stops, and I really appreciate this. He stops and says, what do you all do in here? Right? What do you all do in here? And Bruce and I look to one another and go, and Bruce would say much better than me, he was like, we just live together. It's Bruce, we just live together. And then I explain a little bit more, like, we're a community, we're L'Arche, we share life together. It's wonderful to see you and your child. Like, we've seen you grow up. And he turns and says to us, this is amazing. Like, he'd never really understood what he'd seen us, we'd waved. And then he says, it's like having Jesus in the neighborhood. All Bruce and I did was sit together on the porch. All Bruce and I did was, like, say hi and be silly with one another. Whatever we were exuding, or, like, whatever smell we were sharing, this neighbor recognized that we were doing something differently. And I think that recognizing, that experiencing, that engagement helps people recognize that we can live differently. We can live more together. We can live less isolated. We can be less lonely. Those experiences, and there's countless experiences. I think about the assistants who have experienced L'Arche and then gone on to live L'Arche outside of our homes. And how important that is, that it doesn't just happen in our community, it happens in the community. I think it's one of the mutually transforming gifts of L'Arche is to be out in the community, sharing what we've learned, practicing our training. It takes that line in the mission statement of respond to the changing needs of our members to being, we really do respond to the changing needs of our community, to the changing needs of my neighbor, of my family, of my friends, of the people who I don't even know yet. I think we start to put into practice the words that are above our doors, that are on our websites, that are wherever they are. Like, what does it really mean? It means carrying it with us. Think about the times when Bruce says, "You want a cup of tea?" I'm like, "Yes, Bruce, I would really like a cup of tea." When society would tell me that I'm here to serve Bruce. Like, I think about all of those moments when we can get over that fear of failure, of difference. We start to realize that actually, we have the antidote. We have the vibrancy to create relationship. And it doesn't have to be huge, life-changing moments. There can be tiny moments, repeated, with countless people. And I think about what we've been doing as a community for the last 40 years. We've been doing that. What L'Arche has been doing for the last 60 years. We've been doing that.